Good evening, Warriors, and welcome into the 20th edition of the R&R Sports Report. I'm your host, Randy Isbell, and with me, from the comfort of his own home, Robert Hagan. Robert, how's it going?
It's great. It's nice. Not liking all this snow. Had a snow day today, and stuck at home. But went out and took some pictures and sent them down to my Louisiana family, and they were a little shocked to see 8.5 to 10 inches of snow in my backyard.
It's getting insane out there. It's messing up my work schedule. I didn't work Monday, and then I basically stayed in the warehouse for an hour while we waited for a FedEx truck to show up, which was 15 minutes away for an hour. Just every time we got an update, I'm 15 minutes, I swear. But I mean, the good thing is we decided early this morning that we were going to just do it from home. And then about noon today, I got an email from LC saying everything was going to be closed at 3:30. So we were going to have to do it from home anyways. So we had a interview with Jansen Edmondson of the women's basketball team. As we have I was going to bring up special guests, but Robert, you already have a special guest.
I guess I got a couple of special guests here.
They're all around.
They're all around, and they're all the grandkids showed up now. So
yeah, they all want the airtime. Addie got her airtime before the show came on. But we were going to have Jansen on at 7:00 today, but with now you've made him mad.
He's just running everywhere.
You've upset them.
Way
to go, Papa. But Jansen will be on next week, so we will be able to talk about the first two games. I'll mute Robert for a second so he can deal with that. But Jansen will be on next week, so she'll be able to talk about the first two games of their best of three series with the College of Idaho. We'll get to all of that. The boys also played a couple of games. Baseball's still going. Oh, they're still mad. So I'll mute them again. We had the Daytona 500 we get to talk about. Lots of basketball stuff, even though I no longer want to talk about the NBA as things did not go my way this week. Robert, what did you do to them?
I just told them they had to go in the other room for a little bit, but they don't want to do that right now. So,
and finally, we will be able to talk about the Seattle Mariners making a move. But first, Robert, we have another special guest, and hopefully you'll make them cry.
I hope not. Other if I yell at him about his football team, as they've got some questions whether or not they are going to retain his quarterback, but we'll get to that here in a little bit. And we're going to welcome back in friend of the show, Shannon Wilson, Clarkson Athletic Director. And welcome, Shannon. Glad you could join us tonight from the comfort of your own home.
It's awesome to be here.
Well, we were just talking about that big fireplace behind you. It looks awful nice and cozy there. So
yeah, it does.
Yeah. Right before we went on the air, Shannon was telling us how he was standing in front of his fireplace with this big TV and didn't pay attention, and then naked bodies were on. So please don't get us in trouble with YouTube.
Right.
Make sure you know what's on your TV, please.
There you go. We'll talk. Got a few questions for Shannon, but we'll wish him well first, as he's getting ready to travel down to Idaho State. That will be happening in Nampa starting tomorrow. You've got a 5 p.m. game tomorrow tonight. Is that right?
Yeah, 5 p.m. game tomorrow, along with Caleb Orr and Ken Hobart, but they're in a different location. They're at Columbia. But yeah, Mackie and Carey tomorrow to kickstart my 22nd straight time to the state tournament, which I'm pretty excited about.
Well, if you don't know Shannon, Shannon's also a Idaho State official besides being Clarkson High School athletic director, and you also get the number 1 5A team from our area, Coeur d'Alene, tomorrow or on Thursday. So got some big games for you already, huh?
Yeah, I'm excited about that Coeur d'Alene game. I've had Coeur d'Alene a number of times when they won the state title in girls. They used to be a powerhouse, just every year go down there and win it. But I'm excited they play Boise first round, and I get to run in the Idaho Center, which is a great treat. I get to run it in a state championship game, but anytime you can run and save your feet on 6 games in 3 days, that's a treat.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to listening. We'll talk a little bit about that here in a few minutes. That they'll be on the idahosports.com streaming their feed on there. But let's get to the big news, Shannon. Washington has moved into phase 2. WIA is ready to push things out. How does that look for our region?
Well, that's a good news. We've been waiting almost 1 year. It's been 8 months or something like that to play. It will be 1 year, but we're excited to get going. And phase 2 means we can have competitions. We've been waiting to have competitions, and then all of a sudden we get this snow, and we've been practicing already. And Coach Bai is trying to figure out how to practice in the snow. We're talking about snow blowers, talking about things like that with the fall. But we're just happy to get playing. And our first game teams that are going to play is volleyball, and that's supposed to be tonight. We're supposed to play West Valley, but that got canceled, and not because of weather. But we're going to be real flexible, and we're going to have a lot of trials and tribulations as we go.
Now, you said football is starting practicing. I know I heard Coach Bai talk about it yesterday. They canceled things today, but they'll still have enough practices, hopefully, to get in as we jump right into league play on the 27th. It's a Saturday game.
Yeah, and that might, we're just hoping that everybody can get in 5 or 10 practices that they need for football. The rest of the sports, it's weird, but they only need 5 practices before they can play their first game. And that's a new thing from the WIA, just because they just know it's a shortened season. And hopefully in summer 2.0, they've been getting ready. So, yeah, and we're going to start, like I said, football this week. I already started on Monday. Couldn't practice today because of no snow, because no school, And then girls soccer starts, and we also have swim. Savannah Cashmitter, she does a great job, and we have swim's first meet on Wednesday.
So, as most of you may or may not know, we are going into different seasons and things being adjusted. So, right now in this first one, Shannon, it is volleyball, soccer, and swim, correct?
And football. Yep.
So football moves up in there. And so football looks like it's going to be across until right around the 1st of April, mid-April.
Yep. I think our last game is April 4th, and it's kind of crazy, but our first 3 games are at home, which might be a blessing because it's going to be hopefully better weather. But we have North Central, then East Valley, and then I think we have either Othello. I'm not really sure, but we have 3 home games in a row, and then we finish the season with our last home game against Shadle Park, which is kind of nice. And with volleyball, though, and soccer, they'll be culminating events, meaning, for example, after their season's over, they'll take the number 1 team versus the number 4 and the number 2 versus the number 3, and they'll have like a Thursday, Saturday, and we're going to call it the COVID East Region Championship, World Champion, because that's kind of what they're going to be after dealing with this. And so, like I said, there's a lot of trials and tribulations going on. I think Idaho started, and then some of those teams got shut down as a ref, like Moscow and Nez Perce. But we're already finding as we get started, we've been started for a long time, but some of those Spokane schools are starting, and we're just finding out that as they get together, COVID's hitting. Already starting 2 or 3 teams might affect us.
Right, and I did see a couple of teams already playing on the west side. One of them being Aberdeen started this the other day too. So, be interesting to see how that and our buddy Jeff Place is putting out a lot of good information for stuff as his region finally gets pushed into phase 2 this week too. So,
yeah.
What does it mean for spectators to come in this year? Are we going to be able to get many spectators? Or
that's a great question, Robert. And you guys, Randy, I'm just saying this. That's a great question because right now the Spokane County Health District is recommending no spectators so far. So that means if we play East Valley at East Valley, we're going to have no spectators. But our Stoughton County Health District has allowed us to have the WIA mandated 200 outside. That's 200 people in the whole venue. And then inside it's 200 or 25% capacity. In our gym, we can hold 1,600, so we'd be able to hold 400, but the lower numbers, what we can host is 200. So right now, the superintendents are deciding whether we can have that in Clarkson, and I have a tough time finding them saying that you can't have to tell us what our health district says we can or cannot do. And, and I think that our principal and superintendent are backing that, saying that, you know what, we want to have spectators because we've been waiting a long time. And Idaho's been having it, and Asotan's going to have it. And I can't imagine on a Friday night, Asotan has a football game, they got fans. We have a Friday night football game and no fans, and Idaho's across the way in some sport having fans. And, oh, man, I just could see the uprising coming.
Yeah, we've talked about football and stuff. What does basketball look like?
Yeah. Robert, your guess is as good as mine and Randy, because I want basketball too. I love basketball. I love all wrestling. I love all those sports, but they haven't even come up with a phase 3 for them to land in yet. We just know it's going to be the 3rd season, which will be like May 5th to June 12th, if we can figure out what that phase 3 or whatever phase they're going to put it in. But they have not released that yet, so we're a little nervous on that one. But I think the numbers are going down, the metrics are going down. I think it's going to help us, and we'll finally get going late. But yeah, at least we'll be playing.
Have you promoted outside basketball this season? Just play it on the blacktop this year.
That's funny. That was brought up, and they said, you know what? If we have to, that might be something we do, and go from there. It's almost like they brought up, if you can't have football, let's have 7-on-7, because then you could play that. And they're talking about leagues for that. But yeah, that's a comment that we hear a lot, but I just don't know. You'd have to have great space, and you have to have courts that are great, and, not safety liability. So yeah, we're talking about it.
All right. Well, we also were talking a little bit about just before we came on, letter of intents for some of these athletes coming up. We did share that Alyssa Sangster is going to be playing volleyball. Right. Why don't you give us a little bit more information about that one and a couple other signings if you get them?
Yeah, Alyssa's really excited for Pearson. Honestly, I talked to their coach too. He's really excited to have her. She's a great athlete, great kid, and we've talked about that before. But Pierce is almost always up in the top NWAC schools in volleyball, and it's a testament that I always say this: if you can get somebody from our school, it's a pipeline. And then they'll want somebody else because they know our program, they know our kids. Almost like our basketball program's really well known, and our soccer program's getting well known too because we have some girls that are playing, and we have some guys that are playing. So our programs are well known now, and coaches call a lot, or they come see us. Well, they used to come see us till COVID, but we're excited for Sangster. We're excited for. We have a few more coming that have not signed yet, but they're being talked to, like Packwood. He's being talked to for football, a number of schools. Eddie Berglund, fastest back that we've had in a long time. They're talking to him. And then we just have a new signing, which she told me about, and we haven't had her signing party yet, but Jenna Allen is going to be signing with North Idaho Cardinals for soccer, which I think is a great place. And we've had a couple kids play there too. So we're excited for that. You guys there?
Yeah,
yep.
We're hearing you.
Okay.
So chances still are pretty good that we're going to try to get at least full seasons in. Track and field baseball still on that schedule also.
Yep. So as soon as this season's over, the 7-week season, we'll start with the spring sports, and they'll have all the spring sports that we typically do, and then wrap it up in that last, what they call season 3. And that season 3 will be basketball and wrestling. So hopefully we can get that in. I'm a believer. I had hope before, and now I have even more hope. And I'm like positive. I know that we're going to play. And tonight I was going to get excited for our people because we're going to finally get a play. And the volleyball team, they have 8 seniors, and they're all excited to play. They want to show what they can do because I think if we would have had a regular season, we'd be going to state. Because they're pretty dang good. Good chemistry is what I think. I think they're pretty talented too, but they have great chemistry, and they've been wanting to play, and they've been playing a lot.
How frustrating has it been with all of the changes in the last couple months since we last talked about how we had all the seasons, and now they're kind of getting mushed up. It does sound like everyone's trying to be as open-minded as possible as about let's just get whatever games we can get in. But as somebody that has to make all those schedules, how frustrating has it been?
Yeah, Randy, I'm just telling you how frustrating. I get like a roller coaster, and that's what a lot of people talk about. It's like a roller coaster, and especially when we're scheduling, and then all of a sudden you schedule, and then all of a sudden back out. And so like tonight, I mean, I'm scheduling. I had a volleyball, and when you make one change, like tonight's game, I have to talk to officials, fans, coaches, teams, schools, buses, and it's just a domino effect. And so it gets really frustrating. And it really got frustrating when we were like, hey, we're going to start, like we talked about, Randy, the last time, start beginning of season. And it's kind of an oxymoron where we were at the bottom of those numbers, and then we said we can't play. We got so high, and then we're coming back down, and we're playing on higher numbers than we've ever had in the fall. And so that was a really frustrating part to me. And the frustrating part was, when Governor Inslee put us in region, I'm like, oh my gosh, I think that could be detriment, because I thought it was going to be tough with Spokane. But you know what? We worked through it. We're in phase 2, and now we just want to finish, because there's not a lot of times where you can say, hey, we're going to reschedule in 7 weeks, like tonight's West Valley game. You might be playing 3 or 4 games in a week, and we don't want to be missing school because we're hardly at school anyway.
Yeah, when you look at it with LC kind of going through that same situation, where we're seeing tennis teams playing 2 people in the same day on their schedule. Baseball is playing, like, they weren't scheduled to play until the end of February here, and weather permitting, if it looks like this. So, but they come up with a week and a half worth of California and Arizona games. It's just been amazing to see people like you coming up with 27 different kinds of schedules in a 4-day period. It seems like, and it changes constantly. I don't know how many times Robert and I have gotten on a show on a Tuesday night and explained, okay, here are the games that are coming out this week, and then by Wednesday, the schedule we just said is completely wrong.
Yeah. What scares me the most, Randy, is we have the schedule, and then all of a sudden we start playing it, and then end up like WSU. Hey, we just got to shut down because everybody's got COVID or nobody can play us. And that becomes a tough thing for our kids. And I want nothing more than, there's no state, no regional, but I just want our kids that are seniors a chance to play. And really, I was talking to Coach Bai about this today. I want our kids that are juniors and sophomores that are playing just get reps to get ready for next year. Because I'm giving an example of like us playing Lewiston in football. If we didn't play this year football and we didn't play in the fall, next year we're playing like with a freshman team that really has no games. And so there's no experience. And all of a sudden you're playing a really good Lewiston football team. That's the recipe for disaster.
And you did say one thing with all your scheduling stuff, and I'm very lucky to get the emails that you send out, is how kids have to be separated on the buses. Now we're talking assigned seats, no food, no sharing of food, water only on the buses. So that's going to be a long 2.5 hour drive to some of these Spokane places.
And you're a coach. I mean, you know this. Kids get on the bus, they don't want to sit in the same spot, or, you know what? Hey, that kid doesn't feel good. I don't want to sit by him. And assigned seats. Hey, we're hungry after a 2.5 hour drive. Well, some schools are like, we're taking, sack lunches. Some are going to say, just get us pizza, have it delivered to the field, things like that. I mean, and we don't even have locker rooms when we get up there. So imagine football. They're wearing all their stuff. They play in the game, they're sweaty, they're muddy, they're cold, they're wet, and they have to get back on that bus or with their parents because they can't get in the locker room to shower or change. Tough protocols.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge thing. So,
yeah.
Well, Randy's got one more question for you. We appreciate you joining us tonight and taking time out of your busy schedule with getting ready to head to state here tomorrow and all the going on with WIAA, but we've got some NFL stuff we want to talk to you about.
We got to bring up your Cowboys. I mean,
Randy, you always have to do this. You always have to do this to me.
Listen, other people have. I'm a Jets fan, so I'm suffering with you.
Yeah,
but you did say that the Cowboys were going to win the division. It didn't happen, but we were all right that division was just complete garbage. But Robert and I are going to play a game here later on in the show. About the NFL quarterback carousel, because I believe it's going to be the craziest it's ever been in an offseason with the most amount of teams changing their quarterback from last season. My question to you is the Dallas Cowboys quarterback next year currently on their roster right now?
Okay, I'm going to say this to you first. Remember, I said they were going to be win the league, and they had a chance if they would have won that last game, and they just did not. Anyway,
right.
I'm going to say this: it's going to be Dak Prescott. I mean, where else? Who else are going to get? I mean, Deshaun maybe, but I'm like this: Dak Prescott, and I think because he loves the Cowboys, and I think that they love him, they're going to keep him. Now, a couple of guys I don't know if they'll still be there, and I love them, is Leighton, which I think he's going to be there, but Jalen Smith, it may not be. So, but Deshaun's not coming there. Like I've read some deals, and they're not trading for some other quarterback. They're gonna have Dak.
Now, are they gonna get a contract with Dak, or are they gonna franchise him again? That's the big question for me.
Yeah, I read so much. I mean, I'm a huge NFL fan like you two guys, and I'm just like read so much, voracious reader on the NFL, and I do believe they're gonna get something done early and not franchise tag him. I just don't think they can. I think they want to get him for 4 years, and I think they'll finally say, okay, 4 years is better than the 5 years that the Cowboys wanted. But I think they're going to get him.
Well, Shannon, we appreciate you taking time out of your schedule and joining us again, and hopefully we can get a couple of the coaches on a little bit closer to game times when things start to step up. And thanks for being our liaison with the Clarkson BAMS team.
Yeah, and you know what? We love you guys, and I love your program, and I share it out every time I can, and except for when you're wanting me to do something and I'm in the middle of a basketball wrestling game. All right, love you guys.
Everybody.
Love you, safe travels.
Again, that's Shannon Wilson, the Clarkson athletic director, and he's got so many things going on in his world to stay up on. So it's crazy.
And Robert, I appreciate you that our second guest of the show, you did not make cry. So
I know I tried. I wanted to, but it just didn't happen. Let's talk a little Wazoo football here before we get into NFL stuff. God, a lot of movement and things going on. Washington State quarterback, the freshman Jaden DeLaura, gets suspended this past week. He ran a stop sign on February 6th at 2 a.m. in the morning. Underage.
Who's the one that says that all the time? Nothing good happens after 2 a.m. I forget which ESPN person says that.
It's crazy because, now you already know he's underage because he's a freshman. He refuses a breathalyzer test, was arrested, not clear on what the suspension is going to look like, if it's just going to be the spring workouts or what. But then the biggest one hearing yesterday was safety Aiden Hector also was handed an indefinite suspension for the team for rules violations. So it makes me wonder why are these kids acting out? I mean, I know, is it the C word? Is it COVID that these kids are just trying to make a point?
It's
or
COVID, it's college age kids. Sadly, we see this all the time, and whether they're on a team or not, some of the college kids are going to make mistakes and have to learn lessons, and hopefully they do. But we get this every year at all times.
Right.
Yes. So Eric Watkins agrees. It's cold. They're bored. Nothing to do. I agree with Eric.
So I'm going to ask you this question, and as we lead into the next one, is there something going on in Rolovich's in his coaching regime that is causing some of these suspensions or these transfers? Because now we have junior wide receiver Jameer Calvin enters into the transfer portal. He is the fifth Cougar to do so since December. Is there something going on with that program that we don't know about?
It might possibly, and it's honestly not even maybe against Rolovich. It was just Leach is probably a very player-friendly coach. I mean, he's a goofball. So he probably finds ways to have a little bit more fun. And obviously, this year was no fun for anybody playing college football with all of the changes and how many games at WSU have canceled. And it was just an off year anyways. So now you have all of those changes on top of a coaching change. And it's going to be tough for him to be able to win any of those players over. especially when they're not performing on top of it.
Right, and that was the main thing in the story I read here the other day. With Calvin, he was injured the 2019 season, and then comes back this season and only gets 17 total catches for 183 yards. Just kind of makes you wonder. They moved him from the slot position where he was with Leach's air raid offense to the outside receiver for Rolovich. So just makes me wonder a little bit about that.
Yeah, and that could be it too. Just getting the 17 catches could be a big reason why he wants out. So there's always something, and we never know unless they come out and say it. All right, let's move on to what we were just talking to with Shannon. And we're going to play a game. I brought this up last week. I wanted to have some fun. And now, since we're at home and we're not on the radio and we're still trying to figure out tech at the radio station to make this work anyways. But we're at home and it took us 20 minutes to figure it out. So why not get a YouTube copyright strike? And hopefully this works. And everybody at home, tell me if it's too loud, too quiet, whatever. But we're going to play some NFL primetime music as we play the QB Carousel, and we're going to go through all 32 teams, and we're going to ask the question, will the Week 1 quarterback in 2021 come from the 2020 roster? So obviously there's a couple teams that are easy wins for us because Detroit and the Rams made a trade. So those are easy yeses, or easy no's for us. And it's the right volume. First try. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it. So let's go through some of these easy ones. We're going to go in alphabetical order, and we're going to have some fun with it. I want to know from you guys, but make sure you say what team you're saying yes or no to, because we're going to go kind of quick, and I want to make sure I understand where you guys are headed. So Arizona Cardinals, obviously they have Kyler Murray. Obviously Kyler Murray's coming back next year, right?
No brainer. He is the face of that franchise, so and moving forward too. So
yes, absolutely. This one's a little bit more difficult. The Atlanta Falcons. Matt Ryan. Is Matt Ryan coming back to Atlanta next year? Or is he going to be in that Indianapolis Colts uniform next year?
No, he's going to be a Falcon for one more year. He is going to write this down. He is going to mentor Justin Fields.
Atlanta has the 4th pick.
I think it's the 6th or 7th pick. I might be wrong. We'll have to look. I could be wrong with that one.
Dropped past that. I mean, they can always move up. Yeah, no, I was right. They have the 4th pick. Look at me go. It's possible. Yes, on Atlanta, but they draft behind him. So yes, Eric agrees with Robert. Baltimore Ravens, Robert, are they getting rid of Lamar Jackson?
Oh no. Lamar is still the face. It'll be quite interesting to see how they do now that Orlando Brown wants out. So what they're going to do? They're probably going to go O-line, but they have to build around Lamar.
Mm-hmm. Still looking for that first no from both of us. It's not going to happen here. Buffalo Bills. It's Josh Allen, of course. Here's the first big one. Carolina Panthers. Teddy Bridgewater. Will he come back and be that Matt Ryan role you're talking about and be in front of a rookie quarterback? Or will they go somewhere else?
I don't think so. I think he's probably going to go someplace else. Look for him probably. I had him going maybe to Indianapolis. I don't know how well of a fit that would be with Frank Reich.
Honestly, if Bridgewater goes to Indianapolis, all of their other options went away. Because I'm hearing everything from a Matt Ryan to a Carson Wentz to a Sam Darnold. So there's a lot of options out there. Chicago Bears, Mitchell Trubisky and Nick Foles. I say they give Trubisky one more year, but it's a really iffy one here.
No, I think they go away from that, and I think that is where Carson Wentz goes. I really do. I think Carson signs with Chicago. And within the next 5 days. I think they're really working on a deal. I think that's where he'll end up.
I hated Eric saying that Bridgewater and Christian McCaffrey to Houston for Watson. I hate that. for obvious reasons.
I agree with that. I heard that movement for McCaffrey going to Houston. I don't know.
I hate it. Absolutely hate it.
I like it.
Bengals.
Eric Watkins.
Okay.
Eric Watkins. He's
You're going to have to get on the kickoff. You guys like each other too much. Couple of easy ones. Cincinnati Bengals is obvious. Will Joe Burrow be healthy enough for week 1?
Yeah, he'll be healthy. He might miss the first game of preseason if we get to have preseason, but he was the difference maker for that team at the very beginning. He looked decent, even though wasn't getting the wins. He needs a big target. He needs a wide receiver there. So,
Cleveland Browns obviously is Baker Mayfield. Let's go to Dallas Cowboys. Is Shannon correct? Will Dak Prescott be the quarterback next year?
I think so. I think he is there. It's whether or not they franchise tag him, because I think if they franchise tag him, he's still $30 million. Some
it is
godly number, 37.
$37.7 million if they franchise him this year. If they franchise tag him a third year, it's $54 million. It's insane. I will also say yes. I think Dak Prescott shows up, franchise tag or not. Denver Broncos, Drew Lock and Brett Rippon. A new quarterback is coming to Denver, right?
I think so, even though, I like Brett Rippon just because he's a local boy. We like to follow our local athletes. But who comes in, I can't answer.
Me neither. I maybe a Teddy Bridgewater. That'd be a good fit for him, I think. Obviously, we're going to skip the Detroit Lions. We both say no because obviously Jared Goff will be the quarterback there. Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers was kind of blowing some smoke. Is he going to stick around?
I think he's there for at least another year, so it will be Aaron Rodgers starting.
Yeah, I agree. Houston Texans, this is a big one. Deshaun Watson or A.J. McCarron. I mean, they might just go A.J. McCarron if they trade Watson, right?
I honestly, man, you're already making that Green Bay household rough tonight. I am going to
listen.
Yeah, Dakota Dak. Yep. I'm going to leave for Houston, and a lot of people are probably going to disagree with me, but I think Watson's going to stay put. They get something figured out, even though he wants out, and he starts maybe one game and then he rides the pine. If they're still arguing, if they're arguing with McNair, is he going to
quit or are they going to bench him?
I think he would probably quit and want to sit on the sideline.
Jets, Jets. Watson there. No for Houston. They will have a new quarterback. Indianapolis Colts. This is an easy one too. Well, kind of. Phillip Rivers retires, but will they go with Jacoby Brissett or one of the other 30 quarterbacks they've been linked to?
They've been linked with Carson Wentz. I still think Wentz is going elsewhere, but to Chicago, there is a strong possibility that he does go to Indianapolis, but they've got to do something. Jacoby is not the answer.
No, I agree. They will have a new quarterback next year. This will be a big one for Eric Watkins. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Is it Mike Glennon, Gardner Minshew II, or a new quarterback?
As much as I want to say Minshew Mania, it is not Minshew Mania or Mike Glennon. They will have somebody different there.
Where does Minshew go? I mean, obviously he'll probably be a backup wherever he goes, but Jacksonville completely soured on him.
I wouldn't be half surprised if Gardner goes to someplace like Denver, maybe Seattle. But they've
Seattle's
got Geno.
got a good backup.
They've got Geno sitting there, but with everything going on with out
of this whole thing and trying to figure stuff out, I completely forgot Jacksonville has the number one pick and is going Trevor Lawrence. But yes, they're gonna have a new quarterback.
Yeah, definitely there.
We'll skip Kansas City. We both think Patrick Mahomes is obviously staying. Las Vegas Raiders. They have Derek Carr and Marcus Mariota, and there have been rumors of the Raiders being in talks as far as trading Carr. What do you think?
I think it's more going to be Mariota leaving. I really think Carr is probably going to stay. Mariota might be a good fit, and I kind of agree with Colin Cowherd. Maybe he's a good fit in New England, and Cam might be on his way out.
I have a different fit for New England, and we'll get to that. But I will say no. I believe the Raiders will have a new quarterback in the system. I think they're going to make a move. Gruden's ready. I mean, he's been there. He's trying to figure out anything he can, and I don't think Carr's the answer. We both obviously believe Herbert will stay with the Chargers. The Rams was easy because they now have Stafford. Another tough one, the Miami Dolphins. Is Tua there? Is Fitzpatrick going to stick around for another year? He's a free agent this year.
I think both of them are good fits based on the game. So I think it's going to be one of the two of them. I really do. I think Ryan signs one more year there.
I think if Miami can come up with a way to get Deshaun Watson, then this answer is no. But I don't think that they will. So I believe they will give Tua another shot. They're not signing another quarterback. They're not drafting another quarterback. They'll give Tua another shot and probably keep Ryan in there to at least mentor him and be a good backup. Does Cousins stay in Minnesota?
I think so. I'm not really sold on his backup, but maybe that's the place for Minshew to end up. Minshew may
as a backup for Minnesota. There you go.
It's a coin flip.
New England Patriots, Cam Newton, or Jared Stidham, who was supposed to be the quarterback this year, and that fell apart really quick.
No, I think that New England's going to go out and try to get somebody. I could see Marcus Mariota going up there. Can he work with Bill Belichick? That would be the question there.
My answer is also no. I believe New England will have a new quarterback, and it will be Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy G will go back to New England. Bill Belichick did not want to get rid of him in the first place. He was pissed off by that trade, and they will get him back. New Orleans Saints, this is an interesting one. Drew Brees still is not quite retired, but he got rid of all of his salary to open up the salary cap. They still have like $70 million to get rid of. Is Jameis Winston going to be the starting quarterback? I don't think they want Taysom Hill to be the starting quarterback.
I hate to say this because the wife is here listening, but I think really Drew Brees is going to end up retiring. I really do.
Negative. He's got 1 more year.
I think they will re-sign Jameis Winston, and Jameis Winston will be the starter there.
And we still don't know how good LASIK surgery Jameis Winston is.
Exactly.
But I'm really worried about the Saints just for the fact that they have so much cap space they have to fix. It'd be really interesting to see the moves that they do. Another interesting one to me is the New York Giants. Daniel Jones is very young, but he has not been that great for the Giants. But I do think that they keep him around for at least 1 more year.
I think that too, just because, you have one of the number 1 running backs get hurt during that season. He was a great compliment to Jones. I think Jones got thrown into a ton of pressure there. So I see Daniel Jones saying at least 1 more year in New York and try to prove something.
Yeah, I think he definitely sticks around. By the way, I don't care if we get copyright struck. The primetime music is the best music. I could listen to this all day.
It brings back memory. Tom Jackson and Chris Berman.
Chris Berman, absolutely. All right. New York Jets. You know my answer. Come on, Deshaun Watson. It's Deshaun Watson or bust for me. I don't care what we have to give up. Give up the draft class for the next 3 years. The Jets will have a new starting quarterback next year.
I don't think there's enough for Deshaun. As much as he wants out, I don't think that he'll want to go up to New York.
He does. So He's already said he does.
I think I'm gonna
play for Saleh.
I'm gonna stick with Sam Darnold being the starter there.
Oh, I just don't see it. I honestly now that we've seen what Matthew Stafford was able to get, he's still got 2 first-round picks and a starting quarterback for Stafford. You might actually be able to get a first-round pick for Sam Darnold, which I did not believe before these trades. So I'm starting to think, even though I am a fan of Sam Darnold, and I think he would work fantastically in a place like Indianapolis, if you can get a first-round pick for him, they might go one of these rookie quarterbacks. Philadelphia Eagles, Carson Wentz, Jalen Hurts, Nate Sudfeld, he's still there. Shannon Wilson had come on here, said Wentz is staying put. I don't think Wentz is staying put, but I do believe Hurts is.
I'm going to agree with you on that one. It's a no-brainer there. Jalen Hurts is going to be the next couple of years with that one. So,
yeah, we got Lois again. Hi, Lois. Thank you so much for hanging out with us again. Pittsburgh Steelers. I hate to say it, but yes, Big Ben is staying one more year.
Even
he started with all of the retirements.
Yeah, he started 11-0, and then they go 1-4 in the next 5. I think he's going to be there, but don't look like he is going to. If they get into trouble to the point that they have to make a change, look for Mason Rudolph to come in and be the starter.
Never
and
been anything. Yeah. I would not be surprised if we see the Steelers draft a quarterback in the 2nd or 3rd round, just as an experiment pick.
It is kind of deep with how many people that they have, quarterbacks coming out of this class. So, yep. And we were going to get to that point. Both the Pouncey brothers now retire. So, he's losing his center. Yeah, he's losing his center. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
But we both say yes. The quarterback is on the roster. San Francisco 49ers, I've already said my piece. No, I think Jimmy G is gone, and I think the 49ers will trade for somebody else.
I'm going to disagree with you. I think Jimmy G is probably the best fit for San Francisco with everything going on.
Jimmy G's the best fit for San Francisco because he gets hurt just as much as everyone else on the roster.
That's the key. He's got to stay healthy. I think he is probably going to be the quarterback there in a division that is getting older. Now you've got Matthew Stafford in that division. Russell Wilson is not the spring chicken that he was many years ago. The little bit of tenseness there in Seattle.
Is Jimmy G the worst quarterback in that division?
Well,
between
let's
Wilson,
see.
Murray and Stafford. That's a yes.
I would probably say yes. Yeah.
But you believe Jimmy G stays?
I believe he'll stay there.
All right, we've heard it all over Dan Patrick this week. Russell Wilson is upset. So there's no way he's staying with Seattle, right? No, he's staying. He's staying with Seattle. I don't see that happening at all. And the guy that was subbing in on Colin Cowherd, they had the most ridiculous trade I've ever seen in my life.
Wasn't it Nick Wright that was in with him?
Yeah, Nick Wright said Deshaun Watson was going to go to San Francisco. San Francisco was trading Jimmy G and Nick Bosa to Seattle, and Seattle was trading Russell Wilson to the Jets, and the Jets were giving up 50 draft picks to all the other teams. I don't see that happening ever.
Well, he was also quoted on Dan Patrick as taking the Kansas City Chiefs plus 16 in the Super Bowl too. So that tells you about Nick Wright.
But yes, Russell Wilson definitely staying. Tom Brady staying in Tampa Bay. Obviously, Ryan Tannehill, is he sticking around with Tennessee? He's been a decent fit.
I think he's a great fit for that team, especially complimenting Derrick Henry so well. I think that's a no-brainer for Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think he sticks around. Washington, I'm not going to say, I almost said it too. Washington football team, Alex Smith and Taylor Heineke. I think Heineke's going to be your week 1 starter.
I want to say yes so bad, and for the feel-good story for Alex Smith. But I don't think he's going to be. He won't be the starter there.
I agree, but I think it's Heineke. They just signed him for a couple years, and they really liked him and what he did in the playoffs. Maybe Alex Smith starts, and then we get Tyler in there as well. So there you go. That is our quarterback carousel, and we had a lot of fun with the NFL primetime music. And now we'll see what YouTube yells at me on an email here in about an hour or two. But overall, I said there were going to be 11 quarterback changes, and Robert said 9. So both of us think it's going to be a ridiculous amount of changes. We've already had 2,
Mhm.
and most likely 3 with the Colts. All right, so let's talk real quick about the Hall of Fame game. It's going to be Pittsburgh and Dallas again as a carryover from last year. It's still a game I don't care about. First preseason game, especially if we have preseason games. That might be the only preseason game we have.
Well, and that might be, maybe we have Shannon on that week as we get ready to go into that game. Maybe he can give us the ins and outs of what Dak is or isn't going to do there for Dallas. So it'll be interesting to see.
We only have Shannon on when something bad happens to Dallas, I think, is what happens now.
I think you're right.
Let's get into some college sports as the LCSE baseball team, finished up their long road trip with a doubleheader against Arizona Christian and dominated both games. This was back on February 12th. That was on Friday. They win game 1, 16-4. And Aiden Nagel hits a grand slam in the first. And then Efon, Nagel, and James go back to back to back in the third inning. That's the second time that the Warriors have went back to back to back already this season, just hitting home runs all over the place. You also had A.J. Davis hitting his first home run of the year as he's battling back from injury, so nice to see that. And then in game 2, LC wins that one 13-4. So a little disappointing. Let them get a little closer in game 2. But they scored 5 runs in both the second and the fourth innings. And the crazy thing about that, they scored 13 runs. They had no home runs. They had all the home runs in game 1, and that's how they scored almost all of their runs. And game 2 is all small ball. And that was really, really nice to see. Luke White goes 4 for 6. Sellers has a great start. Goes 5 innings pitched, gives up just the 1 earned runs on 5 hits, 7 Ks, and only gives up the walk. So in a 3-game sweep, LCSE beats Arizona Christian, the 2 doubleheader games on Friday, and I believe it was last Monday when they played the first one, where LC outscored that team 40-12 in that 3-game sweep. And so far in their 8 games, LCSE has averaged over 12 runs a game.
That's just crazy to think about how they're getting the offense to be firing all cylinders here early in the year, But now the question is, does it stay hot until they play again? Because their next game's not till a week from Saturday. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, their next games will be at home. Hopefully the snow is gone by then on my birthday. So let me in, even though they've already said no fans. Or at least for CCC games. So maybe they will for this. But they'll take on Oregon Tech. Hopefully I can get in somehow. Or I'll go stand on a balcony somewhere. I'm watching this game, darn it.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, you and I watched the basketball game the other day. They let a few fans in for the game the other night.
It's all family right now. It's all family.
So it'll be interesting.
For basketball right now, it's 4 guests for each player, I think is what they're up to right now. And that won't, but no fans for the College of Idaho games because all CCC conference games have no fans.
Right.
I also want to shout out to Dalton Harum, who is the only Warrior who has successfully hit in all 8 games this season. So leading the way on his 8-game hitting streak. See how long he can keep that going. But let's move on now to the basketball. And again, we were supposed to have a guest on tonight as Jansen Edmondson was going to come on, but the snow shut down the school, and the building we were supposed to be in for this show was closed at 3:30, so everyone can get home safely. So we had to postpone that. She decided she would rather come on next week instead of doing it from home, which is totally fine because now we get to talk to her about those first 2 games that they will have against College of Idaho this week. But let's look at what happened this last weekend for the women, and what a pair of games. Their games with MSU Billings this year have all been fantastic, and I haven't really looked into MSU Billings and if they have a chance to make the NAIA tournament as well, but I'm hoping they meet up one more time because these games have been fantastic.
Yeah, listening to Bert Zollberg call the game there earlier today from the game on Saturday, all 4 of them have been close matchups coming down to the wire, and it's just exciting to see this actually happening, and these women going into this tournament pretty much firing all cylinders. No real foul trouble or anything. Being able to knock down the free throws have been huge for the girls team.
Yeah, absolutely is. We look at game one. They do win that one 67-61. Abby Johnson, friend of the show, crushes it with 26 points and 8 rebounds. Kiara Berlage had a great game, 18 points and 7 rebounds herself. LCSC wins that game while only going 3 of 22 from 3-point range. And this game, and we're going to get to the game 2, which was even crazier, was tied 59-59 with 2:22 to go in the game, and it was not the closest one of the 2 games they played. Game 2 on Saturday, unfortunately, LCSC falls just short, losing 81-82 in overtime. Peyton Souvenir led the way with 23 points and 9 assists. Abby Johnson, again, on fire, 22 points in this one, so a 48-point mark in the 2 games over last week for Johnson. Kiara Berlage had another great game, 19 points and 9 rebounds. Better 3-point shooting for the Warriors as they go 8 of 22. And it was the starting 5 who scored all 81 points for the Warriors as they are getting tuned up and ready to go. But Shannon Renee hit 1 of 2 free throws with 6 seconds remaining to force the overtime. And then Kiara Berlage hit a 2 with 4.7 seconds in overtime to take the lead for the Warriors. But unfortunately, Addison Gardner hit a 3 from the corner at the buzzer to win the game for MSU Billings. And what a great play by her. And it was a good defense, a great man-to-man defense by the Warriors. Just a great shot that was put up.
Yeah, and that pass to Addison Gardner was just off to the side a little bit, so she had to take a kind of a funny shot at it as I don't remember who it was that kicked out the pass. She had drove baseline, had to kick it out, and it was just wide, but Gardner was able to throw it up from 3 and drop it down. So, great game, great way to finish out. So, look, I'm like you. I want to see them play again. So.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know if they want to play each other just for how stressful it is.
Probably not.
And Lois is asking my birthday is the 27th, next Saturday. Bring on the baseball. And we got other sports that I got to talk about that all seem to be happening on my birthday. So that will do it for the regular season for the Warrior women. They finished the season 10-5, and they will go into that best of 3 series we've been talking about for a little while now. Against the College of Idaho, winner wins the CCC automatic bid into the NAIA tournament. Game 1 is tomorrow night at 7 p.m. at the LCSC Activity Center. Hopefully, the College of Idaho is already up here, so they're not battling the snow, and that game gets in. And then Game 2 will be on Saturday at 6:30 down in Caldwell, Idaho, and then it'll be a week later if a Game 3 is needed, and the site would be determined by a coin flip. So we won't have the answers there until Saturday night, and we'll go from there. So hopefully when we have Jansen Edmonton on, it is talking about winning those 2 games and getting ready for the tournament. On the men's side, they had just a dominant weekend, especially on offense. I watched a bit of the first game on Wednesday night, and Multnomah has an interesting game plan as a basketball team. They are all Steph Curry. It's run down the court, maybe pass the ball one time and shoot up a 3. I don't know how many times that the poor play-by-play guy is still talking about the previous play and a shot's been put up and rebounded already. As they were going quick.
Well, you know it just as well as I do. We've called a few basketball games that are like that for the old GNL for Clarkson High School. Watching the press for both ball clubs, West Valley, did the same thing. They like to run. You barely get anything out, and it was the same thing with him for the game the other night. I mean, he had a little bit of time to gather his thoughts, but they just were pushing the ball very quickly.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully we get to talk about that with GNL basketball, hopefully happening as Shannon said earlier on in the show. Game 1 was on Wednesday. LCSC won 124-75. Orion Courtney led the way with 20 points. Demick Mitchell and Tristan Bradley both had 19. Benyon and Newsom both with 9 rebounds. The Warriors shoot 62.7% on the game. A fantastic offensive performance by the Warriors. Multnomah shot 48 3-pointers in a 40-minute game. It was just
that's just crazy to think about. 48 points coming up from 3-point land. You don't ever hear that even much on the NBA side.
But when it is, it drives me nuts. That's why I don't watch the NBA. On Thursday, the Warriors also got the win 107-53. The Warriors led 58-19 at halftime. Just, again, a complete dominating performance, getting ready for those games with College of Idaho. They had 5 players in double figures. They shoot 41% from 3. They put up 36 threes themselves in game 2. Multnomah, again, puts up 43 shots and only hit 9 of them, so just 20% for Multnomah. So a nice job by the Warrior men. Their regular season also over. They finished 14-1 with, I think, 0-3 in games that didn't count.
As I was going to say, the ones that didn't count weren't there, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with the ball club as they get ready to do battle with the College of Idaho also in Caldwell. I'm looking forward to watching that game on Thursday night.
Yeah, absolutely. Thursday night, as Robert just said, 7 p.m. right here at the Activity Center for the men. They will also have game 2 on Sunday at 6 p.m. in Caldwell, Idaho. You can check out both games on lcwarriors.com. It's super easy. And as I've learned throughout the winter, if you've missed the game or you're like me and you have a brain fart and forget it's happening or what day it is, you can go back and they have an archive of all the games. And I sent Robert the link to watch the overtime from the girls' game, so we both were able to see the craziness of that. So it's a fantastic site. You get all the stats, scores, news, and all of the ways to watch, as if we're not really able to have fans right now. So it's a great site to check out. Robert, how about you talk about these other sports real quick?
LC State Winter Invitational is in the snow, results in too cold, 20 degrees. So the women finished first in their running. Great pictures as they were able to get some pictures up there. The course up by your place by Lewiston High School. And
can you imagine if they did that today with all the extra stuff that got added in?
Oh, heck no. I don't think they could have even done it. I mean, you look at some of them running. Some of them had some long gear on, some of them in their running shorts and tank top. And so it made them crazy. The women finished first, and the top 8 finished within 40 seconds of each other. So that tells you how close everything was. So 3 LCSC women finished in the top 5. Emily Adams, Maja Blasnik, and Geraldine Carrera. Men also finished first. Cole Olson wins his second straight meet with a time of 24 minutes and 1 second. He was almost a minute and a half ahead of second place. So, yeah.
And men's CCC Player of the Week for I believe the second straight week.
Yeah, that's crazy. Along with Clayton Van Dyke, he finished second with his teammate, and Chase Barrow finishes fourth. A total of 26 runners, but it was great showing for LCSC in their running here. The LC State Winter Invitational, the second one is scheduled for Friday the 26th, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 26th. Yes. So it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. Hopefully all the snow is gone away in the next week. It's supposed to get really cold and rainy over the next couple of days.
I hope it's not ridiculous mush for them.
Yeah.
I wanted to also point out, I forgot to put it in the notes, but Abby Johnson was the women's CCC Player of the Week, which well-deserved with 48 points put up in the 2 games last week. Women's tennis, we were talking about having a rough start, but having a crazy schedule to start their season with how young that team is. They end up playing a doubleheader with Whitworth. That's what we were talking about. It was supposed to be College of Idaho and Whitworth there, and then College of Idaho had to back out. So it turned out to be a doubleheader with Whitworth. The women win the first set 4-3. and then swept the second set 7-0. Biagna Andrus swept both of her matches. Her second match with the Leah Kurt looks like it was a fantastic one. She wins 6-3, 5-7, 7-6 with a 10-3 tiebreak. And Alexandra Berry also sweeping her matches, especially her first one after she was swept. 6-love in the first set. She comes back, wins the next two sets, 6-3, 6-3. And Sophia Olenkot also was able to sweep both of her singles matches. And I believe the women won 5 of the 6 doubles matches that they were in over the weekend. So a nice bounce back for them. They are not scheduled again right now until March 21st. And hopefully they'll be able to find some matches in between. But again, as we're talking with Shannon, just crazy how different schedules are getting changed. And don't worry, Lois, you can ask me my birthday. Again, it's the 27th. I'm not worried about it. Don't say sorry. It's okay.
He does take presents, just send it to his PayPal account,
I won't say how old I am because it's too damn old anymore.
We're not at the station tonight, so Dan Howard was supposed to bring us donuts. So hopefully he's listening while he's out working.
Howard will go whatever he can not to bring us donuts. So he's the one. If you see Dan Howard out there, blame him for the weather because he did that. So we couldn't come in for the donuts. He's probably standing outside there going, I brought the donuts and now I have to eat them all myself.
Yeah, probably.
The men's tennis team finally got to start their season. They were ranked 23rd to come onto the year, and they also played Whitworth in doubleheader. They win both of the sets 6-1, a great start for them. 5 players made their collegiate debut with LCSC. And out of the 7 players that played this last week, you have 1 senior, 1 junior, and the 5 freshmen. So a very young men's team as well, but super talented. As Itaru Kikuchi, who is in my sports cultural class. Or no, he's in my English 102 class. I only realized that after doing the notes while being in class with him on Zoom. And I noticed the name. William Burchard, Andre Duplessis, and Gunnar Harlan all swept their singles matches. And the Warrior men also swept all 6 doubles matches on the day. So a great start for the Warrior men. They are scheduled to also play on my birthday versus Idaho at the LCSC Tennis Center. So that leads us to what is happening this week, and a bit smaller schedule this week than last week, as it kind of wanes down just a little. But on Wednesday, tomorrow, as we said, 7 o'clock right here at the Activity Center, the women will play College of Idaho in Game 1. The men take on College of Idaho at 7 o'clock on Thursday. On Friday, you get the volleyball season opener as they get into the mix, as they will be part of the Cascade Conference weekend here in Lewiston. It's starting at 11 a.m. It looked like there were several teams involved, and they're just going to play and play and play and try to catch up. That will also happen on Saturday, also starting at 11. And Saturday will also be the opener for the track and field. As again, all of these sports are all happening all at the same time. We're going to have lots to talk about. But they'll be part of the College of Idaho Icebreaker number 2, which I'm going to guess number 1 was last year because I couldn't find number 1 on my list. And on Saturday at 6:30, you'll have the women's basketball game, Game 2 against College of Idaho. On Sunday is the conclusion of that Icebreaker track and field in College of Idaho, and Game 2 for the men against College of Idaho at 6 p.m. That's a lot of College of Idahos to say in just a couple sentences.
Yeah, especially if those are the only teams that are actually taking
right now.
Yeah, they want to play right now. So it'll be interesting, especially with the new move. With LCSC moving to the Cascade Conference. I was looking forward to seeing a new group of teams.
And that's what I wanted to talk to Jansen about is getting to move to a new conference. Get excited to see all these new opponents, and then it's just you in college. So they could win the CCC without playing most of the CCC.
Yeah, by far. So,
all right. So that is it for the LCSC sports. Now, Robert, we're getting into playoff time.
Yeah, lots of playoffs happening. As we did talk with Shannon earlier, the Idaho State girls get ready to kick off their state playoffs here in the Nampa area. That'll be happening. So let's talk a little bit of boys basketball first. Your Lewiston boys knock off Post Falls last Friday, 50-42. Coach Jason Ulrich did say that was one of the most physical games that they've had all season long. George Forsman, who we've said his name many times this year, led the way with 10 points and 8 rebounds. They were supposed to play tonight. That game did get canceled against Moscow, having some COVID issues, and so they had to cancel that one. So that is a non-playing game. They are going to play. That was supposed to be their last regular season game, and so they will host Post Falls as the Trojans come down to Lewiston and play on Friday. Post Falls right now 12-6, 8-3 in conference. They will play at 7 p.m. at Lewiston High School in a district game. So
you want to go? I haven't been to that new stadium yet, or the new court yet.
I'd like that. We'll have to get in with Corey Williams and say, you know, I would love to go watch Post Falls.
They were saying 200 people? We could be part of the 200 people.
Yeah, I think so. We'll have to pencil it in for Friday. So as far as the LHS girls, they are out of the playoffs. Real quick, we're going to take a look at the standings right now currently for the 5A Inland Empire boys team. Lake City leads that one at 12-6. Post Falls is number 2. Lewiston number 3, and Coeur d'Alene number 4. And so Lewiston will host Post Falls here on Friday as they get ready to start tournament play. Also in the 2A Central Division, St. Mary's is running away with that one. It's 16-1. Look for them to get an automatic bid into the state tournament for them starting next week. In second is Grangeville, and they're at 9-6, and then Orofino is 7-9 in third place. The 1A D1 White Pine League of Lapwave, they're leading their division right now at 13-4. Right behind them is Prairie at 13-3, and Deary running away with Division 2 at 14-1. Look for those teams to make a huge difference in action. We are going to talk a little 1A D1 girls basketball, as we have been following Lapway this entire season, and Lapway 20-1 on the season. They come back and win in the fourth quarter after holding Prairie holding Lapway really to not the best starting game as they had done. They had led going into the fourth quarter, and they were actually down, and Lapway trailed 41-32 going into the fourth, and then go on a 17-0 run and held 17-0 run against Prairie in that ball game. They were down to the last 30 seconds, and Prairie scored 8 points in that last 30 seconds. But for them to come back and score the way they did, Lapway's freshman Jordan McCormick Mack scored 5 of her 13, and Grace Sabota, the junior, scores 7 of her 12 in the fourth quarter on that 17-0 run. All three, big note there is all 3 of Prairie's losses come to the hands of Lapway. So look for those two to probably meet again in the state tournament this weekend. Lapway is going to open up play tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific time, as they will take on the Murtaugh Devils. And then Prairie ended up making it to the state berth after beating Genesee on Saturday. They are going to play Rimrock of Bruno in Nampa. That game is scheduled for 1 o'clock tomorrow. We look at Division 2 in the White Pine League. Kendrick also running away with things. They are 18-5. They will open up play against Richfield at 6 p.m. Tomorrow. And then Deary does not make the playoffs. They ended up their season 10-10. We look a couple of scores really quick in the college And then college break right now, Illinois leads Northwestern 38-26. Couple of big scores. Arkansas, number 24, Arkansas knocks off Florida 75-64. And the big upset, Georgia wins by 10 over number 20, Missouri, 80-70. Didn't see that one coming there, Randy. That one's a little shocking.
I can't say much. I haven't really been watching the college basketball. Nothing really shocks me anymore, especially when you're facing a number 20th ranked school. It's been such a top-turvy year. Georgia absolutely needed to get that win. Now 13-8 on the year as they try to get into the tournament. We're getting close.
We're down to the final few games.
Figuring that out. We got some interesting stuff as we look at the top 5 right now. You have Gonzaga and Baylor, of course, still the top 2. Michigan 3, Ohio State number 4, and Illinois now up there at number 5. Gonzaga goes to 20-0 on the year as they beat San Francisco 100-61. Drew Timme been fantastic. 28 points, 10 rebounds on just 22 minutes, and great bench play by the Bulldogs as well. They got a couple games coming up this week versus St. Mary's on Thursday at 6 p.m. and then on Saturday against San Diego at 5 p.m. That one will be on ESPN2. However, I have questions for you because I heard this on the way home today. There are rumors that both Gonzaga and BYU are contemplating sitting out the WCC tournament to try to prevent injury and COVID issues. Is that something we're going to see going forward? Teams wanting to opt out of a conference tournament if they feel like they're going to make the NCAA tournament? Or is this just a weird COVID year?
I think it's probably going to boil down to the COVID thing. Kind of crazy to think about them, both of them not playing, but I think it's gonna happen. I think I was shocked that it'd be Gonzaga, but I can see a few teams maybe in that top tier. Maybe Iowa. Iowa has been really struggling in their season. They've been up and down. They're making a climb back up. I could see maybe like a Villanova who is 13-3 right now, maybe them taking it. But I would have never thought that Mark Few would want to have his team rest. I mean, they've been firing on all cylinders, with how they're doing. 20-0. We posed the question a couple weeks ago. Do they run the gamut? They're down to their final 3 games. So,
well, it's all about, if you go to the WCC tournament and you have COVID issues, is it going to affect the NCAA tournament? And this year I kind of understand it, but it does make things really weird and could mess up a lot of bubble teams because obviously Gonzaga is making the tournament. BYU probably making it as an at-large, no matter what they do in the WCC. They've had a good year. So now if both of them sit out, there's going to be another team that's going to win the WCC tournament and get the WCC's at-large bid. And that's going to take a spot away from one of those at-large teams looking to not have their bubble burst. So I'm curious if other teams are going to cry foul over something like this, especially if you're right on that edge. And will we see other teams, as you said, Villanova or Iowa possibly, or any other teams that decide the same thing and go, well, we're in the tournament and we want to make sure that we have no COVID issues before, so we're going to quarantine up and not do our conference tournament. And that allows teams that would not make the tournament a better chance to win the conference tournament and somehow get in. Honestly, it kind of feels like a slippery slope to me.
I think it all boils down to what they decide is going to happen, from Indiana at NCAA. What if they put a bar on it and say, hey, no, you guys have to play? It'll be interesting to see what decisions are posed to those guys. If this is the latest breaking news, maybe they have not seen it yet at headquarters, and they make a decision whether or not they can or can't.
Right, absolutely. We look on the women's side for Gonzaga, as the women are now up 1 spot to number 16. They lead BYU by 2.5 games in the WCC and an 18-2 record. 17 straight wins for Gonzaga as they win 2 more times this last week. They beat San Francisco on Thursday 79-66, and they beat Santa Clara on Saturday 67-50. They do take on that BYU Cougars team on Thursday at 5 p.m. and then San Diego on Saturday at 2 p.m.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how those play out in the next few days. Let's jump back up to the Palouse and see how the Cougs are doing. They lose back-to-back games now here this last week. They lose to number 20 USC 76-65. Cougars shot 60% from 3 against UCLA the game before to only shoot 3 of 25, 12% against USC. You're not going to win games like that. But they only hit a total of 24 shots total in that ball game against USC. Deshaun Jackson scores a team high 18 points. Isaac Bonton with 17 in that one. And then I would have thought they would have handled business against the Huskies, but they lose on a last-second shot by Marcus Tashonis of UW. He scores a game-high 29 points, but the scoring for that game comes off the bench with Alice Cook, who leads the Cougars with 14 points off the bench. Deshaun Jackson scores 13. Noah Williams with 12, but no Isaac Bonton because of illness. It kind of makes you wonder what's starting to happen with that team. Cougars shoot a little bit better in that game against the Huskies, shooting 40%, but still 28% from 3. So it'll be interesting to see in these next 2 games as they host in Cal on Thursday, 7:30 tip. On I think that one's on Pac-12, and then Stanford on Saturday at 1 p.m. tip. And that one will be on ESPNU. So it'll be a little interesting to see what happens with that game. The Cougar ladies end up on a 3-game losing streak now. They are still 6th in the Pac-12. They're now 8 games back of Stanford, who Stanford just rolling away with that conference at 16-2. They lose to Arizona Friday 60-51. Carlise Lager-Walker leads all scorers with 19 points, but Arizona's got a tough defense. I mean, especially for a number 10 team, they are tough, and they showed it there on Friday night. And then the Cougars end up losing to Arizona State 67-61. Arizona started the third quarter with a 13-0 run and hold the Cougars off. No chance for them to get back. Again, Carlise Lager-Walker, she scores 29 points and played all 40 minutes for that ball club. She does set a record there for WSU for scoring 20 points plus in a season with 10 games. So she is setting records. The Cougar ladies will be also hosting in Colorado on Friday at noon tip, and then on Sunday they're hosting Utah.
So now we talk about the Cougar ladies now 9-9 on the year. You said 3-game losing streak, sub 500 record in a conference. Are they losing their grip on a tournament bid?
I think so. They're just playing themselves out of it. I mean, it's been a one-person scoring affair for that ball club with Lager-Walker. They need to get some help in there, but it's impressive that the freshman is getting that many looks. So they've got to get a little bit more balanced.
You look at Charlie Cream, the bracketology person for the women's side on ESPN. He has them up to a number 9 seed right now, so just up above the bubble area. But I mean, if they don't turn things around and start getting a couple extra wins, you would got to think that it'll be bubble territory for the Cougars for sure.
Yeah, and I think they're down to 3 games left also. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Uh, eh, we're just bringing them up because they are local, but Idaho Vandals still on that skid. They got really close the other night. Chance to win that one against Idaho State, the second game, but end up losing both games to Idaho State 69-43 and 64-58. They're at Portland on Thursday, and then they will host Portland on Saturday. Just sad seeing what's going on with that men's team this year. It's been really tough to follow them and keep up with them just because of their losing streak. And so look for something to have to happen, maybe a coaching change. We'll see on that here shortly. But as far as the Idaho Vandal ladies, they are looking quite well. They do split against Idaho State. They had a chance to move into first place with sweeping them this week. They do drop down one position as BYU snuck up into the second spot. They are still one game back of Idaho State. They also will be playing Portland State. They'll play them at home on Thursday, and then they'll travel over to Portland on Saturday.
Yeah, their tournament will be really big between Idaho and Idaho State, I believe, and that setup. You got to win that one to be able to make the tournament for sure. All right, let's go to the NBA, even though I don't want to. There's a bad week for my team. As my teams, which you can see on the bottom of the screen, went 22-33 this last week, which now pushes me even farther under 500 at 199-213. And Robert's team, which you can now see on the bottom of the screen, went 32-21. So now 207 wins to 193 losses for Robert's team. You've had me beat in the winning percentage all year long, but now you are flying by me in total wins as well, sir.
Well, yeah, I'm 14 games over 500. Brooklyn is looking good, with all of their changes. So, and even your Knicks are holding their own. They're still sub 500.
What's happening?
It's weird to say the Knicks are doing well, but they're holding their own, I guess.
So this year is really weird for the NBA as somebody that doesn't really watch the sport anymore as I used to in the 90s. But the one thing I like that they're taking from their COVID situation is now only the top 6 teams are guaranteed in the playoffs. And then 7 through 10 will have a little mini playoff to figure out the last 2 seeds. I like that. It was kind of like the first 6 teams get a bye in a way. But even with that, the Knicks are a playoff team. They would be the 6th seed at 14-15. It helps that the Eastern Conference is still complete garbage. But what is happening? They even have a positive scoring percentage. It's just insane.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. So a couple of scorers there. The one that is shocking me is the Bucks are losing, Randy, and they're down to a minute and a half left in that ball game. They're down 8 right now.
It happens. It happens in the NBA for sure.
A couple of scores here. The Toronto Raptors, they are up 121-113 over the Milwaukee Bucks. The Lakers
as well, so I'm good there.
Yeah, Lakers are winning their ball game against the Timberwolves 112-101. They're down to less than 30 seconds left to go. A couple of finals that have happened. The Celtics win 112-99 over the Nuggets. The Pelicans, holy cow, 144-113 over the Grizzlies, and the Trailblazers win 115-104 over OKC. Couple late starting game, or one late starting game. The Nets, my Brooklyn Nets, will be taking on the Phoenix Suns. Tip time at 7:30.
Without Kyrie Irving or Kevin Durant tonight.
Yeah, you're right. So hopefully they are able to knock off the 17-9 Phoenix Suns. I'm looking forward to that.
You started there for a second as trying to say late games because you do have the Spurs. Postponed. They will miss their next 3 games as they had a couple positive tests. They had played the Hornets this weekend, and because of close contact, the Hornets will miss 2 games as well. and they will make that all up. Anthony Davis had an MRI, which revealed a calf strain. Many are believing he will sit out until the All-Star break, which is the All-Star game is March 7th. I think he sits out longer. I don't think I bring him back till April.
Yeah, it's sad, as he was one of my point getter for my fantasy team. It's tough to see Davis out, and I kind of agree with you. I don't think they bring him back. Maybe early April if they bring him back.
Are you still surprised they're doing an All-Star game?
I am. I didn't think they would do it with all the COVID stuff, and where we're not playing in a bubble. That might be a little different if everybody was playing in a bubble like last year. Maybe they do it, but and I believe everything is happening the same day. Is that correct?
Yes. So you're going to have the 3-point contest and the skills challenge held before the All-Star game. And then something that I kind of am down with, the slam dunk contest will be at halftime. So that's your halftime show, is a slam dunk contest, which I'm totally for. But it will be a little interesting this year. I believe you can only have family there at the game. It's going to be focused more on an at-home experiences from what I've been reading. Like what I believe the Weeknd thought his halftime show was supposed to be. We won't get back into that terrible show. But it is also interesting. They're cutting a day off the All-Star break. It's only a 5-day break for the players instead of 6, which LeBron James had been fighting for so long. But they're trying to get through the season as quick as possible, so they cut that down a day. I'm still just shocked that it's even happening at all.
But they're playing it. They are playing it in Indianapolis at the Field House, which is one of the venues for the NCAA.
For whatever reason, I thought that was in Atlanta, but you might be right.
Yeah, I just pulled that up, which happens to be one of the same places the NCAA is doing. So, kind of curious to see how everything goes over.
Before we get to that, Eric says, personally, I don't think it is a good idea. I agree. However, if they keep the same All-Star game format as last year, I will live with it, and I'll watch the pregame stuff. I'm with it. And Eric also says it's in Atlanta. Indy got pushed back to next year.
Well, that's funny. That's what I just said.
Eric is the stat man. He knows his stuff.
There you go.
All right, let's talk some baseball. Pitchers and catchers, sir.
Yes, they report tomorrow.
Let's do it. It is almost time. Those are exciting words to see when I get on Facebook. Pitchers and catchers report tomorrow. Justin Turner signs with the Los Angeles Dodgers, staying with the team 2 years, $34 million. In a trade that was broken to me by Boston Red Sox fan himself, Jimmy from Lancers, who is devastated by his team. The first word, I haven't seen Jimmy since March.
I say I haven't seen him a long time.
The first words out of his mouth when he saw me was, well, your Yankees are definitely better than my Red Sox, which is really hard for him to say. But the Red Sox trade outfielder Andrew Benintendi to the Royals in a 3-team deal. Red Sox get a couple prospects as well as the old famous 2 players to be named later. The Mets get outfielder Khalil Lee, and of course the Royals will get Benintendi. And finally, Robert, we're able to say that the Seattle Mariners signed somebody, and it was really interesting.
Yeah, interesting to see as the Mariners signed Mr. James Paxton, as he's going to go back after a couple seasons with New York. So your team dumps him, and we're going to pick him up. But that's been the story of Seattle for the last few years. They're picking up older players. How many more times are we going to either pick up old players or try to get farm team guys, so it'll be interesting to see how spring training starts to pan out for the Mariners.
It just shows you, Seattle wins that trade. James Paxton was okay at best for the Yankees. And now Paxton back with the Mariners with Justice Sheffield, who they got in that trade. as well as a couple other players they got. Sheffield has not been as good as I thought he was going to be, but he's still pretty young.
But Paxton only had how many games pitched last year? Wasn't it like 9 games? It wasn't very much.
Obviously, all the numbers were much
Yeah.
last year, for sure. But yeah, he definitely did not have too many at all. Let's move on. 30 minutes. I have to do an Elimination Chamber preview.
I don't know if I agree with.
What's that?
I was say I don't know if I agree with Eric Watkins. He says, "Don't feel so bad. The Rays will still beat you both." Yeah.
Yankees all the way. As far as the AL, I'm not sure about getting to the World Series or winning the World Series, especially with how good the Padres and Dodgers look right now.
I'm just excited. They're going to start reporting tomorrow, so we'll start seeing some catcher news, pitcher news. I'm excited for it.
I'll just throw it out there because I realized on these notes we skipped 10 minutes. Just mismatching stuff. So if anybody has any questions out there, we will definitely hit any topics you want to talk to us about to finish the show. But right now, let's talk about the sports that just do not get enough airtime. And I want to start with the Daytona 500. And unfortunately, it was one of the most boring Daytona 500s I've seen in a long time. Luckily, this is the last year the 500 has to do with the Gen 6 cars, which they took the restrictor plates out, but took the horsepower out and absolutely struggled to go. And you always know it's going to be a bad race when the big one happens in the first 20 laps.
Yeah, 14 laps in.
14 laps in. We had like 14 to 16 cars involved in the wreck. I want to say 12 cars were out from that point forward. And then on, it was just single line racing, just the choo-choo train going around the track until the end of a stage, and then we get a little bit of movement. And then stage 2. All right, let's get back in our line. And it was stage 2 to me was really funny because you had Chase Elliott, who was in the back of the main pack, and you just see him duck down past 2 cars, but nobody would go with him to create that second line. And then somebody else would jump out and do the exact same thing. And like the back 4 cars were just leapfrogging each other for 30 laps, just trying to get anything going as Denny Hamlin led them away. Sasha Banks, WWE superstar, drops the green flag. And I love the fact that they celebrated the 20-year anniversary, bringing back the lap 3 threes. And every place on the markers, you tell who's in what position, all said number 3 for lap 3. Of course, all the fans putting up the number 3s. So that was a fantastic moment in a rough one to watch, especially after the rain delay that ended up being like 5 hours. It worked out really good for me because I had NXT Vengeance Day to watch, and the rain delay ended and they got back on track as the main event was finishing up. So I just went right back to watching NASCAR.
Yeah.
There was like a 4 or 5 hour delay in there for sure.
Yeah, Denise and I sat as it popped back on. We started watching it, and I really haven't followed much NASCAR until the real end of this year, prepping for this. But it was weird to see the same paint scheme and the same tilt of the number 3, it was Dale Earnhardt, and we're coming up on the anniversary of that death. I think it is Thursday when he died. 20 years ago, and it was brings up a lot of memories because of that was my whole life during early years. That was why I watched. It was the racers of Dale Earnhardt, Kerry Yarborough, Bill Elliott, and that was one thing I really hadn't paid much attention, but how much Bill Elliott and Chase Elliott look alike. I pulled up different pictures and put them up, and I showed Denise, and it's like it was crazy to see the likeness between those two men, and watching him race. It reminds me of watching his dad race. So I'm excited to get back into watching it. Even though the guy I picked, Bubba Wallace, had a tough one having to pit after some bad lug nuts and a loose wheel. He had to come back in, loses a lap. So
It beat my William Byron pick.
yeah, but who would have figured Michael McDowell
No one
would come back? Yeah.
Michael McDowell, the 66-1 odd favorite on Fox Bet.
And I looked that up. There was a few people that had him at 100-1. I did read an article today that Westgate had him at 80-1, and there at Westgate they did say that there was 5 people, just five people that took McDowell to win that. So I mean, if you make $100 bet, that was 10 grand right there in your pocket.
Well, definitely these kind of races, you can have a surprise winner like this. We had Trevor Bain several years ago getting his first win on I believe his second start ever in that series. So they can definitely come, especially when you wreck your teammate to get the first. So it ends up with McDowell trying to push Keselowski into the lead, and he pushes him right into the leader Logano, and he wrecks them both. And for some, I mean, I get why, but over the last few years, NASCAR has been really good about on the last lap. That's the time we're just going to let them race to the finish. And it would have been really cool to see who would have won, McDowell, Elliott, or Austin Dillon.
Mm-hmm.
They were basically 3 wide right after that yellow flag came out. But I mean, Kyle Busch and Keselowski had a vicious hit on the backstretch, and they were wrecking afterwards. So I get for the safety of the drivers, they threw the yellow, but man, I wanted to see that finish because it would have been really close.
Mm-hmm. I think they did show it all the way to the end. I think Elliott was ahead of him at the line.
No, McDowell beat him to the line, but Elliott saw the yellow and backed off. But
yeah.
McDowell was obviously in front when the yellow dropped, but it was shortly after the yellow dropped that Elliott got in front and backed off because of the yellow. I think it would have been really close, and Dillon was right there too. Next week, it will be the Daytona Road Course, which we saw for the Busch Clash, so that'll be a fun one. I'm curious if they're going to fix the dirt around the bus stop, as that was a complete mess in the first race. As driver had visibility issues as they kept trying to cut the corner, and all of a sudden they have no way to get the dirt off. They had a windshield wiper that just smeared the dirt around. So to be curious what they do. My question, Robert, since again you're just getting back into NASCAR a little bit, what did you think of the broadcast team with Mike Joy, Jeff Gordon, and Clint Boyer?
It was interesting, I think listening to more of it as Clint Boyer playing the Terry Bradshaw, with losing his money. It was funny, but some of the commercials that they're playing off each other, of getting stuck in a room together for 4 hours at a time. It'll be interesting, but those guys were bitter rivals for a lot of years. It'll be interesting to see how the next few races pan out, if that's the thing. But, I like Mike Joy. Mike Joy is a great guy to listen to.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about that fire? How about you have a fire
thing? Kaz Gralla, who's a young driver, came into the pit. His right rear tire was on fire, the inside, obviously. So they take the tire out, and I think they went through a can and a half of fire extinguisher trying to get that thing out. And then finally just said, screw it, Gralla, just go out. We'll see if the wind will blow it out. Nope, it just made it worse. So he did a whole lap with his right rear tire just completely engulfed in flames. As they get ready to drop the green flag in a huge puff of smoke from all of the fire extinguisher stuff. It's just the funny things you see in NASCAR sometimes.
Oh, it was crazy to watch those guys. I think the big one is seeing what Keselowski's car looked like after that wreck. That was nasty to see.
Like 13th. It was great. Let's go to bowling real quick as we had the final region in the Players Championship. Next week, the 5 winners will go at it for the $250,000 first prize. Profit? Dick Allen, man. He is the ultimate house bowler. He looks like a guy you would see on any local bowling alley, and just goes out there, no frills, throws. His ball revelations are so much slower than the rest of the pros and just gets things done. The numbers in these 5 weeks have just been insane. But Dick Allen took it to a whole nother level. He wins the first game against Tom Doherty, 269-268. After Doherty had the front 8 and ends up losing by a pin.
Mm-hmm.
Then he goes and beats Ryan Simonelli, 258-253. Then beats the young kid, Christian Azina, 278-258. Before finally breaking the curse, and our first number 1 seed did go down in this as Dick Allen wins 277-255. So in a 4-game set on a hard professional oil pattern, Dick Allen shot a set of 1,082 where he averaged 270.5 pins a game.
I mean, that's insane. I mean, how he was able to control the ball. And he didn't move a lot either, Randy. He just kind of, I think he moved maybe a total of 3 boards on his mark, 3 or 4.
He kind of changed the angle from time to time, but just fantastic bowling. He will now take on Kyle Troop, Tom Smallwood, Francois Lavoie, and Anthony Simonson in the Players' Championship. I've not seen exactly the seeding for that yet, but that will take place, I believe, on Sunday.
The seeding matches will be on Saturday. They'll do that, and then Saturday afternoon we will know who they are bowling against. So,
who do you got to win?
I'm gonna go out on a limb just because he has been bowling just out of his mind. I'm gonna say Tom Smallwood. He has just been bowling quite well. But so is Troop, so is Dick Allen, so is Simon. Yeah, they're all bowling really well. But I think Smallwood edges it out. He'll probably come from the 3 seed, maybe. Depends on how many games they're going to do for seeding. But I could see him coming from the 3 position and winning.
I think I remember hearing that. I'm taking Anthony Simonson.
Yeah, he's been bowling really good. And even Jason Belmonte says he is the next up-and-coming number 1 guy. It'll be interesting. Over 300 bowlers over the last few weeks have been bowling this tournament, and it's just crazy to see how well PBA is and where they're coming from and how they're doing it. It's just blowing me away.
Yeah, getting bought out by Bolero has really helped. And I think obviously it'll help even more once they can have fans again. But
yeah,
there's a lot of cool things with that.
Yeah. How about we jump to the PGA, Randy, and we talk about the Pro-Am that wasn't a Pro-Am.
The Pro-Am minus the Am.
Yeah, as Daniel Berger wins at 18 under with a 7 under 64 on the final round, hits an eagle in the 18th to seal it. He takes home $1.4 million. $1.4 million for one tournament. I mean, we got to work on your slice, and we need to go out. We need to get back in there.
With my boss about going golfing today in the snow. I told him I would lose just as many golf balls today as I do on any other one.
Yeah, it was. You look at the finals, and it's just kind of weird to see Jordan Spieth. He ends up tying for third at 15 under. Second place was Maverick McKeely at 16 under. Joel had a little bit better showing this week. He had a rough first day, but was able to shoot well the second day to make the cut. He ends up tied for 60th at +1. But you say he had a little run-in again on Sunday.
Because of his Twitter, and he made a joke when he saw the pairing that he had on Sunday. So then I looked into it, and you can find him talking on a podcast about it, and you can see some big PGA fans talking about this incident that happened in 2018 where Joel Damon played with Sung Kang, in that tournament, and Sung Kang hit a shot, and the way the hole was angled, Joel says that the ball went out in the out of bounds area and never came back. It obviously lands out of bounds, and that was not battled with, obviously. But what Sung Kang was saying was his shot had a different angle to it, so it had stayed in bounds longer. So his drop was going to be like 100 yards closer than where Joel Damon was believing. And Joel Damon had said on the podcast that I watched that he talked till he was blue in the face, and finally just said, "You know what, Sung Kang, if you can live with it, go for it." Because obviously all of the officials are saying we didn't see the shot, we didn't have the angle, so we have to go with the player. And they did. And Sung Kang ended up winning that tournament. And it was a big thing of Joel Damon coming out calling him a cheater. And Joel Damon during that podcast said they hadn't talked since. And I believe it was Gino, our buddy and friend of the podcast, who tweeted after the round that the first thing that Sung Kang says to Joel Damon on the first tee box was, "My friend says I should push you off this hill." And they joked about it, and they seemed like they were just fine. But it was really interesting. I mean, because again, we always joke in our little tournaments that we're a part of that people are probably cheating left and right. Now here you are playing for millions of dollars, and you call somebody out on it. And if the other person doesn't feel like they cheated, it's going to bring in a lot of drama and a lot of issues. So very interesting watch. If you definitely want to check that out, it was kind of cool to see a local boy getting into it with some PGA people.
And that's the thing. You look at our local boy. He is he's kind of the face right now of the PGA. The people like him. He's very personable. And you look at I shared a video this week of him and Nick Taylor doing the 7-on-7, 7 different clubs into I forget which hole there at Pebble Beach. Yeah, and doing the little short par 3 with the different clubs, and him and Taylor just having a good time doing it. I mean, that's how Joel is. You can go back and look on the PGA website and see many different things. He's kind of almost like the jokester guy there, and so it's great to see that, and him having a good time what he's doing.
Have no problems making fun of themselves and doing silly stuff just to entertain themselves. And speaking of Gino, I did talk to him this week about the automated yard markers, and it's not a big deal. It says any good caddy, like, that's the least of their issues is their exact yard markage. And honestly, he said that it might even slow the game down as far as now they're going to take their time and measure it every time instead of guesstimating. And from what his experience is, the players are more worried about the lie and what kind of shot they need in the wind and what club. And so yardage is trying to be precise with yardage is not a big deal for them.
Right.
I want to talk real quick about, we have some Australian Open tennis going on. It's been really weird as they were able to have fans early on in the tournament, and then they're having some COVID issues as well. So Australia has gone back into lockdown. I don't know if they're quite out of it yet. It was supposed to be a 5-day thing, but ours was supposed to be a 2-week thing back in March. So who knows what's going to happen there?
Well, heck, when Biden took over, we were supposed to go into a 6-week thing, and it didn't happen. So, I mean, anything's possible.
So it'll be really interesting to see how it all pans out. But the big matchup that's coming up very soon, Osaka versus Serena Williams, the rematch of a U.S. Open that had tons of controversy, where Serena ended up losing a point and didn't realize she had, and then it ended up being a game as she called the guy a thief. And Osaka, who was winning her first major, felt like the crowd, which it was in New York, so the crowd is crazy. Osaka thought they were booing her the whole time. It was I went back and I've watched that a bunch, but they are getting ready. They will take off in one semifinals for the women. Still trying to see what the other semifinal will be, but you still have Ashley Barty, the number 1 seed from Australia, still in the tournament. I believe she is playing right now, or she will be playing very soon as the women are winding down. As far as the men, one semifinal is Novak Djokovic, who I believe won his 200th Grand Slam match, which he's the second person other than Roger Federer to have reached that mark. He'll take on Karatsev in his match, and the other semifinal will be figured out tonight as well, as Nadal is still in there. And Medvedev, who I don't like, the 4 seed, he is a hothead among hotheads, still in the tournament. But it's been fun to watch. I haven't been able to watch as much of it as I now have a job that I have to be up super early in the morning instead of a night card dealing job where I can stay up later and watch all these Australian stuff. But it is still great. It's really interesting for anybody that's not watching. This is the first tournament where they don't have line judges. It's all automated. And so you have these like robotic stuff that'll yell the out signs. And it sounds real. It sounds like a line judge is yelling, but it is all automated. And if it's really close, it instantly shows up on the screen that is surrounding the courts. So you can see the replay right there. So it speeds up the game. And the technology and the way tennis has embraced it has been fantastic.
Yeah, the scary thing about that is where's that going to start changing things? Where you're taking the human out of it and now everything's going to be robotic. Does that start going into different sports like baseball, taking the umpires out of it?
So sick and tired of this. Call balls and strikes correctly.
Now, was this the turn?
Is out of here. God, I hate that guy.
Yeah. Was this the tournament that Rafa Nadal had the heckler on him, or was that a past tournament?
Crowd. So thank you. When they actually had a crowd, Rafa Nadal takes his time during his serves. And there's an Australian.
He reminds me of a couple of bowlers we know.
Right. There's an Australian lady that got tired of it and called him out on his OCD stuff, and he kind of gave her a laugh, and she flipped him off. Which got even more of a laugh. He was really confused as to what was going on. It's a great thing. Again, I think we promote John Boy every other week on this show, but he has a breakdown of it. It's fantastic. All right, that is this week, or this is the sports that do not get enough airtime. It is now time for this week in sports history, and I'm going to prep myself to not get stumped again this week.
Yeah, you might not get stumped this week. You might be able to get
myself. Are we doing basketball again? That's what I want.
No basketball this time.
Basketball for a month and a half.
All right, I'm being nice. Next week will probably be baseball since we'll get into the other. So, all right, let's kick things off for the week of February 10th through February 16th. 1961, the AFL's LA Chargers moved to San Diego. Now it's come full circle. We're back in LA. 1996, February 10th, the IBM computer Deep Blue becomes the first computer to win a game of chess against the reigning chess champion, Garry Kasparov, the Russian. Don't remember that one very well. That was during my time, just right after high school. I don't know why I don't remember that. February 11th, 1969, Diana Crump becomes the first woman jockey to ride against the men at Hialeah Park. She rode the horse named Bridle, finished 9th out of 12, and 2 weeks later, she won her first professional race. She won a total of 235 races, but was credited for 228 as she retired in 1985.
Why don't more women be jockeys?
That
you would think, because I mean they're always wanting the smaller men on there. Mm-hmm. So you would think,
I
don't think there's a gender problem as far as like size that would go. That's the one sport that I don't get.
I don't think so, because when I worked for Emerald Downs, when we had Emerald Downs there at Lancers, there was a fair amount of lady jockeys that were there. So it's kind of weird to see, but that was also in after the 95-96 season. Yeah.
But every time you watch the Kentucky Derby and stuff, I don't think I ever see any female jockeys.
No, it's interesting. 1974, first Major League Baseball arbitration case. The Minnesota Twins pitcher Dick Woodson seeking $29,000 from the Twins, and the Twins offered him $23,000 for arbitration, but makes that extra $6,000. 1997, Bill Parcells becomes the head coach of your New York Jets. February 12th, 1984, Cale Yarborough becomes the first Daytona 500 qualifier to qualify with a mile per hour over 200. In 1989, Wayne Gretzky sets 2 records with his 45th hat trick and his 10th season with 40-plus goals. February 13th, 1937, the Boston Redskins received approval to move to Washington, D.C., where they would share Griffith Stadium with the Washington Senators. 1952, Rocky Marciano knocks out the Italian heavyweight boxer Gino Buivino in the second round to get his 40th straight win. February 14th, 1960, NASCAR legend Junior Johnson survives a 37-car crash in turn 4 to win the second Daytona 500.
I believe that is still when it was half beach.
I think you're right. It was still in that time frame. 2019, Oklahoma City's Russell Westbrook has a triple-double, scoring 44 points, 14 rebounds, and 11 assists, and sets an NBA record for the 11th consecutive game with a triple-double. February 15th, 1978, Leon Spinks beats Muhammad Ali in 15 rounds and wins the heavyweight boxing title. And let's go one more hockey one for you. 2000, Martin Brodeur becomes the first goaltender in NHL history to get credit for a game-winning goal.
I got a question, Robert. I've noticed it. Have you always done the week prior?
I do, yeah. So I do starting tomorrow. So I will do tomorrow through the date of our show.
I just noticed that, and I thought you were doing the week coming up, but
no.
I guess that's how much I pay attention. I apologize. All right, just for that burn, it's time for you to try to stump me.
I think I'm going to this time. I'm going to ask you though. Here's the thing. I threw out a lot of different sports this week.
I know.
I threw in some hockey. I threw in horse racing. I threw in Daytona, and I had basketball in there. So where do you think I'm going with your question?
Probably boxing.
You are wrong. I am going.
I lost already. Guys, I'm out. Bye. He stumped me.
I did, but it was Daytona 500 week, so we're going Daytona. Okay.
Cool. Let's see what we got.
And this is your question. I came up with the first one, 1984. Cale Yarborough becomes the first Daytona 500 qualifier with a mile per hour over 200. Mm-hmm. Your question: who holds the fastest qualifying lap at Daytona?
Bill Elliott.
Wow.
I knew that one.
I did not. Yeah, I figured I'd stump you on that one because it actually happened February 9th, 1987.
Wait, hold on. 224.
No.
Okay.
No.
I was trying to get cocky.
210. 210.364 in his.
I'm thinking top speed because 210 for the whole lap.
Yep, qualifying lap. Yep, 210 miles an hour. He completed the lap in 42.782 seconds.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, they get over 210 they were getting over 210 in Michigan before. That's why they kind of lowered the horsepower. But yeah, I knew the Bill Elliott one because they brought that up a lot.
Dang, I thought I was gonna.
He was one of the big reasons for the restrictor plates to come in because those numbers were getting ridiculous.
That was the last race that happened in 1988.
2 weeks in a row.
I know. Dang.
Got it.
I'm going back to basketball.
No. Shit. God, man. I almost said, man, I almost cussed on the radio, but we're not on the radio, so I can do that. If Eric Watkins is still watching. His 5-pin bowling fact of the day, according to Wikipedia, a foul line violation in 5-pin results in a 15-point penalty.
Wow.
That would be crazy if it happened in real bowling. Pins knocked over during a violating delivery do count, though. The penalty is assessed at the end of the game. This compares to the 0 score for a ball in other bowling disciplines. So there you go. There's your 5-fact stat of the day or fact of the day, whatever you want to do. So
I think you need to find a video for that where we can watch it, because I have not paid any attention to 5-pin bowling ever.
yeah, everything on Wikipedia is old. I was trying to come up with stuff, and it's all old stuff. See, there you go. He's worming his way in every single week. Eric, I promise you, I'm telling you right now, get your camera stuff set up, and I'll let you know in advance. But the next time that we have to do a in-home show, we're going to have you on at least for a segment to talk about the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yep.
Doing it on the radio causes extra havoc as far as tech issues for me. But the next time we're at home, you're definitely going to be a guest.
Yeah. One shout out, and we want to say happy birthday to one of our favorite people, Trayvon Allen. Celebrated his birthday today over in Poland. He was off and on all day. I tried to get message with him if he could join us, but we want to say happy birthday to Trayvon.
So we're going to have Jensen Edmondson on next week. I'm also going to try to get a player from the men's team to also join in so they can talk about games 1 and 2 against the College of Idaho. Thank you again so much to Shannon Wilson for taking some time out of his day to come chat with us and for us to make fun of his Cowboy fandom right before he heads off to Boise to ref a few games. We always appreciate him coming in. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Hopefully for those local people, you are surviving the snow and being safe out there. Eric, enjoy your nice weather, you Floridan person. We should be back in the studio next week, and we will have lots to talk about, especially have the basketball teams qualified or not, or if we have a game 3 there, we'll have baseball, tennis, all sorts of stuff. I'll come up with a new football game, or I'll let Robert do it this week. I'll make him do some work finally. But until then, that's Robert. I'm Randy, and we are